evening, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Dana Being Dana. I am your host, Dana Michelle, and we are back in studio. It has been a whirlwind. How you doing, Earl? Did you miss me? Terribly, I'm sure. I appreciate you. Whirlwind tour. I have been on a world tour in the domestic United States, promoting the Homecoming Challenge with our nonprofit Give Back campaign, back on college campuses. This was our third year of promoting the home, but our first year taking it to college campuses, which was incredible. I went to Florida A&M University, Howard University in D.C., and Morehouse and Spelman in Atlanta, Georgia. So for the longest time I've been out of promoting the Homecoming Challenge. I met Cam, which was awesome. So I am super excited. We've been super busy. Currently, adoption. It is Adoption Awareness Month, which is the month of November on Naperville Community Television, NCTV 17. Please check us out. Thank you all so much for tuning in, for supporting both the Homecoming Challenge and Dana Being Dana. It's been a busy time. Show. Holla! Woo-hoo! Yes. These are not my most stressed out friends, but these are some of my friends who know how to best manage and handle stress in their professions. And so I'm super excited. Thank you all for tuning in. Once again, I'm super excited. And we are live on Facebook and Intellectual Radio, and the timing just couldn't be better. I think daylight savings time makes people get into a little bit of a frenzy. The holidays are coming. There's a whole lot going on. Darker, quicker. Yep. And so I'm getting the mic.
Yes. Here we go. All right. Doing fabulous.
Are you stylish? Are you fit?
Stylish and fit. You have to be.
Tangi is my very good friend, and she's the owner of Stylish and Fit. So not only is she a personal trainer, but she, anything healthy, wellness, fitness, she's awesome. Tangi has a great mindset, and we'll talk about how the mind impacts stress later on in the episode. But I'm so glad. Let's get it. Get it. Eric, how are you this evening?
Doing good.
We call you Beard
That
Game.
would fit.
Dr. E.
It
Call
is
me-
November.
Call me Dr. E.
I like that.
right now.
Do you?
Yeah.
I know.
This is nothing, man.
Beards are in the building.
Yeah.
That's what we do.
I'm gonna be Santa for Christmas. Growing it out.
So, Dr. Eric Beard Game, you are a chiropractor.
It's correct. Chiropractor.
And so you deal with people and managing stress all the time.
All the time. Yeah, that's probably main thing we deal with, stress. Different types of stress.
I'm super excited to have you
I'm
join us.
excited
You're awesome, and I can't wait for you to share some of your tips for managing stress. Second, silver medal in the Beard Game is Adam. I know, right? Just some people say it's never mind. I'll tell you later. But anyway, Adam is a therapist, and he's incredible. You are also on the next episode of Dana Being Dana on television.
Wonderful.
So we'll talk about our topic.
Good one.
It's gonna be it's a great episode. I haven't seen it yet, but it was a great episode when we filmed it.
It felt good.
And so tune in for that in a couple weeks. Yeah. In about 2 weeks, the next episode of Dana Being Dana will air on Naperville Community Television. Adam's on there because he drops bombs of knowledge.
Yeah, I'm excited to hear about it too.
Managing stress
good.
is going to be awesome.
Yeah.
And you help people all the time. Managing stress that impacts their lives.
I do what I can.
You do what you can for the people.
Always.
Take one for the team.
Always.
I appreciate you. Karen,
Yeah,
how are you?
wonderful. I'm so happy to be here, Dana.
Thank you so much for joining us. Can you tell us a little bit about what you do?
Yes, I was born with the ability to see and move energy in the human body and in animals and plants. And I am a modern day medicine woman. I teach people how to regulate their energy so that their issues don't end up in their tissues.
You don't want your issues in your tissues.
That's
awesome.
And in our pregame, she was telling people about themselves and energy, and she's the real deal. And so I appreciate you being here. How can people reach you, Karen, to find out more about the energy medicine that you promote?
Well, would love to connect with everybody. You can reach me on my website, KarenMarzek.com, or they can also follow me on social media. I'm on Instagram and also Facebook.
She's tagged here. She's in my social as well. Yeah. How do you spell your last name?
That's Marzec.
All right. Thank you so much for being here. And last but not least, Sophia.
Yep.
Hi, Dana.
How are you?
I am wonderful. I am wonderful. I'm so excited to be here, everybody.
I'm super excited for you to be here as well. Can you tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do?
Oh my gosh, this could go on all night. Guys, I am a registered nurse by my background, and I'm part of a beautiful company called Yoli, and I'll be talking a little bit more about that during the hour. And honestly, it was kind of my own personal health crisis that sort of opened my eyes more to the world of holistic medicine. And I have to tell you, it has completely changed my life. And my passion is to serve and educate the community on health and body. And stress is something, like Dr. Eric said, 99% of our work in health is stress and stress-related illnesses. And a major symptom of stress is inflammation, which is kind of the core of what we do at Yoli. And so I'm so blessed and honored to be here with all you wonderful people and friends.
Well, I think you are absolutely incredible. And we want to hear more about your personal journey and how you got to where you are with what you're doing. How can people reach you?
So I do have a website, guys, but I'm so old school. I love that face-to-face interaction and more of that personal touch. So just call me. Honestly, call me, text me. I'll just say my phone number if that's okay.
Give it out, girl.
So call me 6 So the best way to get a hold of me is just honestly by my phone. It's 630-802-2441. You can also send me an email if you prefer email. Sophia, my first name, Sofia .Zafar, Z as in zebra, A F as in Frank, AR @gmail.com.
Awesome. Fantastic. And obviously, as with any show every week, if you're looking, I will be happy to connect you and connect you with people directly. So I'm happy to do that. Like I said, I've been incredibly busy, which makes this show very timely. I just want to thank a lot of people who have helped and supported us with the Homecoming Challenge and our tour this year. Everyone at all of the schools who helped us get to the schools. Shouts out to my co-founder who participated in the Homecoming Challenge and everybody who helped us with every single episode while we were on the road. Special thanks to Kroger, the grocery store, who was our sponsor while we were on the road and enabled us to bless so many students out there, which was pretty awesome. That's cool. It was an amazing time. Cool. Thank you. I love it. You guys are so tender. Thank you so much. It was an amazing time, but it was highly stressful. And a lot of times when you see people out here doing great things, amazing things, it gave me an appreciation for people that I see out in the public, whether it's a talk show or a concert. When you see a concert, you're like, that was amazing. I think it's incredibly stressful to put those types of things together. Anything for entertainment purposes and whatnot. It doesn't have to be entertainment, but incredibly stressful. So I just want to shout out all of my friends who not only supported the Homecoming Challenge, but they participated, especially those who supported me at home. My girlfriends from school, the SMDs, good friends of mine. A lot of people didn't know that I had a lot of stresses going on personally. Childcare issues and health issues for one of my kids and just so many things going on behind the scenes. Yeah. Anybody who's doing anything entrepreneurial can attest to things being stressful. And a lot of times it's funny because as hard as it is to do something entrepreneurial, you're going to have people who hate on your process. There's haters out there, y'all. Surprise, surprise. But what I always tell people, you don't have to hate on an entrepreneur because it's already hard. Right. Doing anything entrepreneurial is already hard. Absolutely. But yet and still you'll have naysayers. You'll have people who are detractors. We'll talk about a toxic environment. And I had a couple of friends who saw all the things that I was going through and really just supported me in that moment, in that time. And I think that's so incredibly important. So I just want to shout out all those people. I appreciate you. And those of you who encourage other people. It's important. So let's start with some of the common causes of stress. Okay. What are some of the things that happen that contribute and cause stress in other people?
Just open.
Yeah,
It's
it's
always a
open.
challenge. Like, do we get a butt?
No, I
Yeah,
mean,
so
jump in.
everybody's-
You got a mic, don't you?
All right. Yeah, I got 3, and I'm going to keep it really simple. Usually it's money, time, and relationships.
Money, time, and relationships.
And then on the relationship front, usually it's work, never a spouse, right?
Of course not.
Never a spouse. And then family relationships. Usually, like, those are the big 3. Look, I'm sure there's tons more.
You said
Yeah,
Yeah,
money.
they all break up, right, into
Money,
different categories.
time.
Lack of time. and
Lack of time.
Lack of time.
Yeah.
Okay.
And relationships are the kind of like the 3 bigs. Now, obviously, we know there's tons more.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
How much of stress is mental?
Ooh.
I'd say majority.
Majority.
Yeah. So there's like physical stress, right?
Mhm.
And then you got your chemical stress, like the things you put in your body, on your body. And then you got your emotional stresses. I'd say 80 to 85% of all stress is probably emotional, right?
Right.
It's your body just having trouble adapting and handling that stress. And so those spillover effects are like anxiety. So I'm sure you see a ton of people for those.
And I'm thinking, like, I'm sure you're seeing all the physiological effects.
All of it, man.
That we're
I see it
seeing,
all.
seeing on the mental. Yeah, I mean, it's
wow.
really interesting. So sometimes, you know, we work very closely with doctors because people are going for psychosomatic symptoms. They're like, okay, what's going on with my body? It's not necessarily something that's going on with their body, but how they're handling stress internally.
Right.
So, you know, I don't know if I would put a percentage on it, but I would say yes, very high. And
Yeah, it's extremely high.
And then too, you have people, when you said people, like they deal with it differently. And so there are some people who get really frustrated when they're in situations of like high stressful situations. And I was recently telling my 10-year-old, I said, you know, you have you have the
tools.
opportunity, the tools to handle it, you know? And so that's huge on how everybody deals with it differently. Would you guys agree?
100%.
Oh, I agree. Yeah.
Yeah.
And from my perspective, I see a lot of people that are walking around in a perpetual state of stress energetically. Really, as a society as a whole here in the US, many of us are in a state of energetic constipation.
We call
There-
it like
Oh,
stuck
I
in a
like
pattern.
that.
Yeah, really, there's not.
Yeah.
And so for me, when I see it, stress
I'm gonna write
becomes
this
like the
down. Yeah.
trigger point when there's already a buildup. So that's why I like to teach people to really be conscious of the energy flowing so that when you do hit a stressful point, you can just move right through it.
Right.
Do you see it
Getting
like
those
folks
tools
are
and
like-
coping mechanisms.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Exactly.
Do you see it like folks are like stuck in a pattern of stress or like this cycle where they're constantly experiencing this type of stress and then they have this type of response and then it leads to this type of symptoms? Like it's this cycle.
Mhm.
In many
They're not able
ways,
to break
yeah.
through. Like, do
I
you
think
see
it's-
that?
dude,
It can often
Yeah.
be
Just like
cyclical.
patterns.
Yeah.
And that's why people have to understand your mindset to contribute to
Right,
your
right.
stress.
Almost like instead of figuring out, okay, what symptom is this causing, to trying to correct the root. You have these causes in your life that cause these effects. And so many people, especially in cause issues,
Right.
like
And-
time, like
Yes.
money, right? Relationships
Mhm.
or emotional stresses or, you know, just like these patterns, these mental
Yeah.
blocks that they experience.
Right. Because it's really not a bad thing. Stress is not a bad thing. You
It doesn't
actually,
have to.
because it helps you stay alert, especially with us being entrepreneurs, right? You want to be alert. So you want that natural stress. But it's when your body is under stress for a long period of time and you're not handling it the way that you should, that is when it becomes toxic.
And it's how you
Exactly.
internalize that stress.
Do you know what
Yeah.
we call that in the chiropractic profession?
What do you call it?
We call
yes.
that the sympathetic nervous
Yes,
system.
the
You know what I'm
sympathetic
talking
nervous
about?
system. Being a personal
Fight or
trainer,
flight.
I do.
Yeah.
Explain that
Yeah.
for our
Go ahead.
listeners out there.
So there's two parts to your autonomic nervous system. You have your sympathetic and then you have your parasympathetic. So your sympathetic, it's called fight or flight.
Fight,
It's
uh-huh.
when we need to escape danger. And it's a really useful thing to have when you're trying to survive, right? So this is you're only supposed to be in that sympathetic state for a few minutes at a
Yes.
time. And then you're supposed to go back into the parasympathetic, which is rest, digest, heal,
Yes.
recover, right? And so many people are so stressed, they're stuck in these or these sympathetic states. They're stuck in this fight or flight. They never give their bodies a chance to rest, to recover, to heal from some of those demands that are put on their body. And that leads to chronic illness, chronic disease, covering up symptoms, and just staying in that, not addressing those root cause. So I think it's so important to, have things like, there's so many things you can do to get into that parasympathetic and trigger it. One of them is, obviously a shameless plug, going to see a great chiropractor. I think that's a
With
great
a strong beard game.
a strong beard game.
He's
Yep.
working it.
Yeah, because the adjustment actually stimulates your vagus nerve. It comes from the brainstem. And so the adjustment is very good at stimulating that. So you get like that little mini vacation every time you come in to get adjusted. You go straight into those parasympathetics. The other things you can do, right, like with Yoli, right, kind of like feed yourself with nutrition, with fitness, with a positive mental mindset. These are all keys to health.
Yeah, and we'll get into more of that later on in the episode.
And recognizing the patterns and the cycles that you're going through is really important to get real with yourself and realize that maybe you could be addicted to stress, because that's the thing too.
Yeah, it's almost like
Okay.
You cut me off once. Yeah.
Your beard is better than hers. Keep going.
And I'm very glad for that.
Not saying much. Not saying
so
much.
we were talking about the cyclical nature of stress, and it's almost like the brain. Once we attach to something, and sometimes we blame it on the external, actually, and it's not the external, it's the internal. And this might be worth talking about a little bit more later. But it's almost like the more we become accustomed to reacting a certain way, and then to thinking a certain way, and then exhibiting a certain behavior that aligns with that thought, it's almost like our brain becomes hardwired to operate in this fashion.
Yeah.
And with stress being the beginning, and then we continue to let it go, and it turns into anxiety, which can turn into depression and all sorts of other things.
Yeah,
and
not sleeping at night.
And I'm hearing the fight and flight response over there, and we see it over here too. So
yeah, it's like a different way of just like describing it or talking about it.
Yeah,
one of the things
it's all the same.
One of the things I say is that if you change your mind, you can change your narrative, and you can end up changing your life.
That's right.
It's your lens.
It's so true. How does your environment contribute to stress? Because I think a lot of times people don't fully appreciate how important your environment is when it comes to your encounters, your interactions, your management of stress.
100%. Think of stress as a part of our everyday living, because we're in a fast-paced world, and social media, and we're pulled into so many different directions. But stress should be almost treated as a pain symptom. Like when you break your leg, you go and seek attention for it. But why aren't people doing that same thing with the amount of stress in their lives? And so many people, we sometimes can't control the cards that we are dealt, but we are definitely in control of our environment. Is definitely a key role in that. I 100% believe in that.
Yeah. Anybody else? Environment?
For sure. I mean, going back to relationships, right? One of the three. I know I've helped so many people in the fitness arena with the environment, right? When you're under stress, what happens? You emotionally eat, and then when you eat under stress, your food does not digest properly. So what happens is now you're having digestive issues and things of that nature. But when you're in toxic relationships, if someone is always bringing that energy, you're talking that negative energy, and they're coming at you, you're in arguments, your body is constantly in that fight or flight. And then it produces cortisol, which is that hormone, right? That stress hormone in the body. So our environment, absolutely. I mean, there's something about peace. When you've been in a relationship that is toxic, when you eliminate that, there is something beautiful about coming and experiencing that peace. Woo!
Hello. Share the show if you are free. Yes, absolutely. But I think that's so true. And it's not just romantic relationships.
Right.
You can have toxic friends,
Absolutely,
which can really bring you down. You can have toxic family members. I think this show is very timely because a lot of people are mentally preparing and or pre-stressing holidays, because the holiday interactions can be incredibly stressful as people prepare to deal with people they feel like they kind of have to in a stressful and toxic, environment. For a lot of people, it's not just turkey,
It's the turkeys you deal with. No,
That was good.
It's and that's why
right?
we're going to be nice.
How important is it to manage some of those close relationships, or what advice do you have as people are approaching the holidays in your space in terms of managing? Some of those can be incredibly stressful, and you have to choose how you engage, how you respond, when you shut that down. I think that's very important because, like I said, I think when daylight savings time hits, people start mentally like, oh, snap. Not only do I got to get this recipe together, but I got to prepare to deal with cousin so-and-so. or uncle blah, blah, blah. And that can lead to a lot of stress.
I think being intentional about how you're going to be handling that stressful situation ahead of time. And going back to the energy piece, some people are just downers. And when you're around their negative energy, it drains you as well. So I think protecting yourself and kind of having a buffer ahead of time to really be able to cope with it in a healthy fashion and not let it drain you as well. I think you have to be intentional about this. This is not just something that is second nature. And going back to the mindset piece, it's huge because we're around stress. We're around people that drain you constantly, or it's some things you just cannot control, but you can control how you respond to it. Absolutely.
Yeah. I'd be curious to hear what some of you guys have to say about it. But I know for myself in my office, when I come across this conversation, I explain that you have two options many times. I mean, there's probably variations within it, but I say you can either eliminate the stress, try to remove it, or you can deepen your personal resources to handle and adapt to it. Right. And so you can strengthen yourself so that when those stresses come, it's like, it's not overwhelming you and you're not getting anxiety. You're not having trouble sleeping at night. You're not getting irritable, right? It's like your body, it handles that emotional stress. It handles those physical stresses, and you adapt because your body is designed to adapt, right? I mean, we adapt to everything. Temperature changes, like lifting, your muscles get stronger when you work out. It's all adapting to stress. Well, our bodies adapt to emotional stresses too, as well as those chemical stresses. So there's certain adaptations in place. And so you can eliminate the stress. So it's something like work, easier said than done, right? If you're relying on that paycheck, got to feed your family. So you can't necessarily do much with those stresses, but you can deepen your own personal resources through, some of these keys to health, like nutrition or exercise, right? Having a positive mental mindset, or even, a great chiropractor that's going to get pressure off of that nervous system to increase the efficiency of your nervous system, of how well your body's adapting to those stresses.
I think that's great. And I think you just mentioned it there.
That's also laughing when I said a great chiropractor.
I know. I love it.
Dr. Eric is great.
But I mean, it's the truth.
With an amazing beard.
You know what?
I see him. He's great.
About like being out, I think that you're needed. Your energy is needed for people who are stressful. Like if you're someone who is strong, I think that being in a situation where people just suck the life in, you've got to bring the life that much more. And I have just learned how to take my energy, and even someone who has a wall built up, I want to chip away at that. So when you understand the purpose that you bring in every environment, then you understand that you are a game changer, right? You are a life changer. And when you understand, when you're going to be the change, then you begin to pick away slowly, and that person begins to change. Have you guys seen that?
100%.
Oh, definitely. Definitely.
Tell me, and because you guys are all in different professions and you deal with clients come to you in part because they have stress in their lives and they need your input and your expertise in managing that. How does stress impact the body in the clients that you see? So what differentiates a stressed out client who comes to you versus one who may be better to manage stress? Without naming names.
I find sometimes there's even a general escape of the physical body, feeling that people want to leave the body if it's getting too stressful. Tension, muscular tension, constriction in the thoracic, leave the body energetically. And that is not a safe place to be in. We should all feel comfortable inhabiting our physical selves and feel empowered in our physical body. So I agree completely with what you said. Standing your ground, finding your center so that you can be a beacon of light, and really just staying with it, using things like breath work and chiropractic care to move through, so you're not stuck in a place where you don't feel comfortable.
Yeah, you're like breaking the patterns, right? So I'll see, me personally, I see breath and posture are the two big things that I see. So typically when I first see somebody lay on the table, I'll notice a very shallow breathing. Their rib cage isn't expanding. And typically when you breathe, there's a breath wave that travels from the back of your skull down to your tailbone. So I want to see that wave traveling through. And I find that as folks get into a later stage of care, like more of the maintenance stage where we've corrected a lot of their subluxations I'll see that breath wave travel through. Because if that wave stops in a certain region, it's an indication that there's some kind of interference that's happening, and it's not traveling through. They're just really stressed. And then posture changes. So I'll notice when people are stressed, maybe there's slight rotations, the muscles, their posture muscles are spasming in certain ways or contracting and like a defensive. It's just like the natural sympathetic response where it's just defending itself from getting worse or protecting itself. So I'll see the posture slowly improve as well as we start to, make these corrections, increase their adaptability to stress, just increase their neurologic efficiency to handle those physical stresses, chemical stresses, and emotional stresses as well. But those are the two big changes that I see. Yeah, breath and posture.
What about on this side?
Yeah, so a major hormone that we talk about when we talk about the stress response of the body is cortisol. And it's released in the body through a very complicated process. I won't get into much of the biochemistry, but basically a lot of people that are in a chronic long-term state of stress, you see a lot of existing illnesses being exacerbated, especially in women. They respond to stress actually worse than men because you'll see an exacerbation of existing mental health issues or any kind of chronic disease or things of that nature. But a lot of times, for us, it's all about the relationship first and getting to know that person on a deeper level and to see if they are ready to make those positive changes. Because a lot of people, like we talked about, sometimes they get used to this pattern of repeated stress over and over again. And when you start to, talk about change, it can be a scary topic for them. So for us, any kind of autoimmune, like I said, chronic degenerative diseases, even things like cancer, a lot of those health issues, they have such a that inflammatory response of the body is so amazing. And it's so, your body is a very, very intelligent. And a lot of people, they just don't give their body a chance to, like we talked about, like Dr. Eric said, give it that chance to really do a lot of self-healing and a lot of self-correction when you give it the right tools. So, but I mean, you can tell right away when someone is in that high state of stress for a long time. But the key is if they are ready to create those positive changes and to embark on a new journey and a new chapter. So.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned cortisol because I mean, that's like a hormone that affects your brain too. Like all the chemistry that's in your blood, it doesn't just like stay in your tissues and cause like joint inflammation. It goes to your brain.
It causes brain atrophy too. There's so many studies that your brain actually shrinks in size from
with cortisol, right?
Negative thoughts too.
Question. Right. So then in stressful situations, so let's say like high anxiety, adrenaline, how do those two play together? The cortisol and the adrenaline. And I'm not trying to stump you, I promise.
No.
I'm really curious.
I mean, there's different hormones that play a factor, and obviously stress response that's gonna get you going and get you that adrenaline, and you come back to your baseline. That's fine. But we're talking about and in our company Yoli, we focus a lot on gut health because gut health also plays a huge role in your mental health as well. And people that are constantly anxious and that anxiety leads to long-term depression, you're actually underproducing a very major hormone called serotonin. So serotonin is also a major hormone that is kind of like the calmer and the happy hormone of the body. So I mean, it's such a complicated cascade of an effect of a process, but the serotonin piece, and we even have people, and obviously, this is not a cure, but once you work on your gut health, and gut health is also that's something very much affected by stress. I know myself, I take it to my stomach right away. You get the butterflies, and some people they completely lose their appetite or they overeat, like Tanji said. Getting those microorganisms in your gut too, because a high chronic stress also causes an overproduction of bad organisms and fungus, and you start to overproduce that bad bacteria. So now you're in this negative cycle. But once you start to correct those things and you start to produce that serotonin and the happy hormone, that makes a huge difference to kind of balance out the body from the overproduction of cortisol. So,
Sophia, can you talk a little bit about your background? You talked about, you've got a great history. You sound like a professional. Can you tell us a little bit about your background and your story and how you came to Yoli?
I try not to get too much into the science, but I mean, we could talk about this all night. But basically,
we only have an hour.
Right, exactly. We only have an hour, and it's already flying by. So I have been a nurse for, oh gosh, almost 10 years. And I was diagnosed with Crohn's disease when I was in nursing school. And it was something that was very just out of the blue, no family history. It was talk about stress. Nursing school is probably one of the most difficult years of my life. And funny enough, the doctors could never find the reason why I have Crohn's, and which I certainly don't believe, but that's what they tell you. And I struggled with my health heavily for a few years, and was on numerous different medications and treatments, and literally my doctor and I have a very good relationship. He's been my doctor since the very beginning, and he looked me in the eye and he said, I don't know what else to do, because we were literally coming to a dead end of options. And I was very young, and basically life just kind of stopped when that's the beginning of life, right? So I was in a very dark space. Talk about, this negative cycle of depression and self-loathing and hopelessness, and really just the why me, that victim mindset. And a friend of mine, she's also a nurse, and I was actually in the hospital, and she was my nurse for the day. And she talked to me about Yoli. And I'm not going to lie, I was a huge skeptic about supplements and the holistic world in general, because let's just face it, they don't teach this in schools, and they should be. Medical schools, nursing schools, supplement, herbal medicine, minerals. I mean, that's just something that's not emphasized enough. So basically kicking and screaming, I very hesitantly, very reluctant, kind of, quote unquote, gave it a shot, because she wouldn't leave me alone. She just kept at it. So, for me as a nurse, I'm a very analytical person. I need data. I need proof. I need results, on paper. I can't just, go for something just because someone's.
So what were those results?
So talking about inflammation, my inflammatory markers, there's a specific lab that's called a CRP marker that they check you for, that measures the level of inflammation in your body. So for the first time, I was about 7 years into my diagnosis, my CRP levels were the lowest they had ever been. And this was about 6 weeks into my journey with Yoli. And again, guys, I'm not saying this is a cure, but my body was on a positive journey of self-healing. And I didn't even realize at that point what was going on, because my doctor actually called me and he wanted to know what was going on. And I couldn't explain it because I had no idea at the time. But basically, long story short, these past few years, I've been with my company since 2015, and it's been a lot of self-education, a lot of research on my part, because, like I said, I have to research everything. I need to know for a fact, because obviously we're out helping others. So, we want to truly promote something that we know in our hearts and on data that it's truly something that's amazing, and it's good. Because unfortunately for the supplement market, it's an unregulated market, and you could make a supplement.
There's a lot out there.
You can make a supplement in your garage and sell it, guys. To be honest with you, there's good products and bad products. So you need to know what you're putting in your body. And so we are advocates for people out there. So we want to make sure we're educating the right thing. And so long story short, it's been a journey. And now, looking back, I'm so grateful for those challenges that I've had with my health, because it's brought me to where I am now. And, until you've gone through something so painful yourself, you cannot relate to someone else. It's allowed me to really get really deep down into people's struggles and to truly understand their journeys. And I'm humbled and honored to be able to help so many people with different, autoimmune, all the way from, inflammation also plays a huge role in weight gain. And our society is something that's so focused on diet and exercise, but health is so much more than just that. And I know people here understand that, but we do a lot of community education to show people that, inflammation, gut health, hormones, especially in women, and proper nutrition without, like Tanji will agree, without complete deprivation or complete, people are really just going on extremes, and you can't live your life that way. So creating those healthy lifestyle options is huge.
Sophia, can you tell us how can people reach you if they want to find out more information about Yoli and about some of the health?
Yeah. So again, obviously there's a website, yoli.com, but I strongly encourage people. I do free consults, and really I'm just here just to listen and to offer any advice that I can, even if it's not Yoli, because my first goal is simply just to educate.
How can
I'm
people reach you?
My phone number, again, just call me, 630-802-2441. Just give me a buzz, text me, or send me an email. Obviously, you can also PM me on Facebook. Dana's been tagging me on everything, so easy to get a hold
Do
of.
it.
Do you think people
text her, give her a
underestimate
call.
the long-term effects of stress?
Yes.
Underestimate?
Do they? Do
Absolutely.
people underestimate the long-term effects of stress?
Absolutely.
Oh yeah. In many ways.
Definitely.
Mhm.
Say physically, obviously, and then like how that can impact mental health overall, like as we let it go.
I used to do that too. Like
Which piece?
like growing up, I
Yeah.
used to think like, hey, I feel good. I look good. Like I was
Mhm.
in great shape. I'm healthy, right?
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people feel that way. But how you feel has nothing to do with how your health is. It's a real
Right.
small portion
Mhm.
of your health. And so you can have somebody on 10 medications and they feel great. But is that person a healthy person?
Or they
No,
look
they're-
great.
They look
Right.
It's
yeah.
the lens
It's like,
that-
do they look good?
It's
right?
the lens you see
Yeah.
yourself through too.
Yeah.
Right? Like how forgiving or like how tolerant are you of yourself, and like, yeah, you look good and all that kind of stuff. But it's like, what lens are you looking at yourself through? I think is also really interesting.
Yeah.
I don't want to go too far. Tips: set boundaries. I would say is a big one. Understand what your limits of control are, and we're gonna have to accept people that we don't want to deal with.
Right.
I think boundaries is very important
Yeah.
because
How do you set those
you don't have to
boundaries?
stay all night.
No, you don't.
You know, you can eat
Yeah.
and get.
Spoken and some are unspoken.
Exactly.
And I think if it's a spouse's, there's a myriad of things that could go on within a family system. And if we're just talking about families, like
Mhm.
let's say it's an in-law, for example. Okay. So you're gonna need to talk to your spouse. You're gonna need to talk to them. Okay, what is the boundary? And so then you both have each other's back, basically, when something comes up and you need to support each other.
The team aspect, I think, goes a long way
100%.
because that has to
Right.
do with your relationships,
Yeah.
the relationships that you surround yourself with, including your spouse, in family situations, right? Like you said, I think having each other's back, being teammates, I think that's very important, and it goes a long way in terms of managing and navigating some of those stressful relationships that can come up during the holidays.
Being aware of
Brings
just like
people together too.
that external environment and how it impacts them. Most people already know, they're aware. They're not looking forward to the holidays in some way, shape, or form because they have to engage in these activities. But why? And who?
And for how long?
Yep.
Right. For how long?
I think that's awesome, man.
Mhm.
Yeah.
What do you say to people who are in denial about stress in their lives? Because a lot of times people have that Lego movie mentality where everything is awesome.
Yeah.
And that you can tell that's not the case. Have you ever had patients, clients come to you and like, oh, I'm fine.
Yeah, that's with me being in the wellness business, being a personal trainer and a holistic wellness coach. I have people who they'll come to me and I'll say, well, on a scale of 1 to 10, like, how's your stress level? Oh, I'm not stressed at all. Well, on a scale of 1 to 10, how's your nutrition? Oh, I'm about an 8, but then they're sitting there overweight, and so people are in denial all the time. And so for me, when clients come to me and they are obese or they are, they're sluggish or whatever, it's a lifetime of not dealt with issues, right?
Yes.
And so when I start them on a journey of wellness, I find that I tap into what was holding them from their freedom on taking care of themselves in the first place. And so we have to admit it. We have to go to the root cause of it. And a lot of times I'm dealing with people who've been through divorces or, and so they keep it there. They haven't let things go, or, they're not happy in their life, or they don't know simply their purpose. If they don't know what they're to do, then I find people that are busy and they're not intentional. You said that word, intentional, right?
Busy and not productive.
Right.
Sometimes it can be childhood. You can grow up in a toxic environment and not know until you're an adult that what you thought was normal really isn't healthy and normal. And so there's just a myriad of things that I think people come to you with. Karen, you specialize in energy, and you've got a demonstration for us. We're going to talk about some of the things that you do.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about what we're going to be doing and what you're going to be showing us tonight?
Well, even when some people are familiar with energy medicine, they think of it as like a situation where you need to go into the Amazon and, do a vision quest for 10 days. And that isn't necessarily so. There are things that all of us can do. We all deserve to thrive. And if you're listening in and you're in a spot where you just feel down, or you know that maybe the holidays are going to be, prepare yourself, come up with some tools. I have some things that are easily accessible. So to me, everything is energy. I use sound, I use the frequency of essential oils to help regulate the energy field. So I have lavender with me, and it really doesn't matter what brand you use. I would just suggest that you find something that is pure. Sometimes if you go to you could probably get essential oils anywhere now, and sometimes
Walmart.
they have the dollar store. So just find something that's pure. And if you don't have the essential oil, you can always use the flower. But lavender is just so calming. And so what I like to do, would you like to do this with me, Dana?
Sure, I will.
Okay, I'm just going to give you a drop in your hand.
Because I'm stressed.
Okay, we're going to do this.
This is how you look stressed.
Yeah. I know, my beard.
Okay. So this is how I like to, you can diffuse essential oils, you can do a lot of things, but I like to just circle 3 times and activate the healing energy you have in your hands. We all have that available to us. And then you're just going to make a little cup and take the essential oil in.
I haven't
So take a
to get some
breath.
lavender.
Yeah, and just doing that is so calming to the system. I like to take it a step further in a throat chakra so that my words come out in a loving and calm way. And then I put a hand on the top of my head just so that I can connect with the divine energy that's available to me. So that's what I do. But if that doesn't feel comfortable to you, you can always just cup your hands and take in the essence.
Well,
but
I
it's
smell it.
calming, isn't
I know,
it?
I do too.
Yeah.
I smell it.
Lavender because, and I think it's just something that you can do. It's kind of personal. You can be in the office. You can be anywhere. We are, newsflash, we are not in the Amazon. And this is something you can take with you and use with you, just in a stressful moment. What I like about it is how transportable and transferable. You can take it with you anywhere.
Yeah.
A stressful day, a stressful moment, stressful news.
Right.
A lot of times it's about, that the show like First 48, no one's been killed, but it's about getting a stressful scenario.
Right.
Bad news at work, bad, spouse situation, family, traffic,
Right.
290.
Right.
Where's the lavender?
Ooh,
Right.
Hello.
290, yeah. And how about this?
Yeah. The whole
Did you guys
tray.
hear about the sinkhole on I-55?
No. And so it's about, having that kind of readily accessible, handy.
Yeah.
Because part of it is sometimes addressing a stressful situation right away in a proper or a healthy manner can really change the whole course of your day.
Absolutely.
Because sometimes stressful moments can totally take you down. But having something as simple as an essential oil or some of the other things that you'll show us can divert that path. You can take a detour and circumvent that stressful situation and kind of end up okay. That's great.
Yeah, for sure. And talking about the holiday season coming up, you can get some lavender and diffuse it. Forget about their traditional Christmas scents and do what you have
in the bathroom.
to do.
Love my diffuser.
Yes,
That's
I'll
right.
be right
Bring
back.
them.
It makes a difference.
It's economy size.
Yeah.
Like her
Spraying it on everybody.
In front of it. It's like right in front of it.
Absolutely.
And so I also like to use sound, and we all have this available to us just by using our voice. We can hum and create internal calmness, send the vibration of your own voice through your body. A lot of teachers that I work with use simple things like chimes, and I'm just going to strike this gently to get attention, but also to bring calmness into the classroom. And so what you want to do when you're working with sound is just really connect with the energy of it. So instead of just listening, actually feel that and welcome it into your body, into all of your cells, and just let the calmness move through you.
I feel more relaxed already.
Yeah.
Did they do a study too on music and how that affects the body and how they don't listen to enough calming music enough
Exactly.
because it affects the cells and all of that too as well?
So you mean 90s rap is just not, you know how we roll, Adam. You know how we roll.
Yeah, I saw the Swiss Beats thing.
Yeah. But I guess the basic thing that I would like everybody to know is that there are techniques available to you no matter where you are. If you can't get to someone for a therapy session or chiropractic care or even a fitness session now, you can do something wherever you are with your breath or your voice or just visualizing your energy.
It's awesome. When people, your assistance and your guidance, how can people reach you, Karen?
Via my website, that's KarenMarzak.com, and I do offer free energy assessments. So if you've been feeling something a little off in your energy field, I can read energy remotely. We can hop on the phone and I can let you know what I detect and give you some tips. Or if you'd like to move further and work with me with energy coaching, I'm available for that too.
And she's awesome. She is incredible.
Mhm.
Even from the first time we talked and when we met tonight, you're incredible. So
Thanks,
again, how
Dana.
can people reach you?
KarenMarzak.com. And I wanted to mention that I also have a really special event. It's an energy micro retreat. It's called Illumination, and that is on December 1st. And it's 4 hours of getting centered, getting clear in our bodies so that we can walk very intentionally into the new decade. So you're welcome to check that out on my website and register if it resonates.
What's it called again? Your event?
The event Illumination. It's a micro retreat. I know we get so
love that.
busy during the holiday season, but this is 4 hours just for you. Gift yourself with a magical
What time is
Over
the
the
event?
coming days.
1 to 5.
Okay.
5.
Perfect.
Awesome. Awesome. Okay. So we will be sharing that information. You'll check that out on my free living look like. Is there such a thing?
Yes.
Yes,
Yes, girl.
Yes.
Absolutely. For me, I am. Yeah. I'll share real quick my journey, you guys. My daughter was born last year. She's 1.5 now, and at the time she was born, I was in a very high stress, very demanding career, and my daughter was born very premature. She was born at 28 weeks. And talk about stress. I had to go back to work when she was still in the hospital. She had a couple surgeries while she was in, and I was at work. And I made a very, very conscious decision in that moment of my life that I will never allow myself to be in that kind of a situation ever again. And so I was in a very bad environment at my work, and I was very unhappy. And I knew deep down in my heart that I was not doing my work, and I was not fulfilling my life's purpose and why God put me here. So earlier this year, in April, I decided to resign from that full-time career and to embark on my entrepreneurial journey full-time. And it was a huge risk, but I will tell you, I live stress-free every day, believe it or not. Even though I have a little one, I am very intentional about my choices, and it is possible, you guys. You just have to make those decisions, which might seem difficult at the time, but believe me, you will be so thankful. So yes, it is very possible.
And I think when you surround yourself with people who support that, because
Exactly.
part of doing things that are entrepreneurial is having the right
Yes.
people in your tribe, in your support system, in your network that will push you in the right direction of moving forward. Because I think whenever you're trying something and you're thinking about doing something entrepreneurial, there can be a lot of naysayers. There can be a lot of things that
Right.
detract you.
Right.
And
Absolutely.
sometimes the decision between trying something and not can be the difference of who is supporting you, in that space and in that moment. And it creates stress.
Right.
Because when you're trying to be in your purpose and you're trying to live and do what you're supposed to be doing, that's always going to be a tension if you've got naysayers telling you not to do that.
People try to hold you back too.
Yeah.
Right? Like
Yeah.
they don't
Absolutely.
want you to succeed because then they feel bad. Like, well, why didn't I succeed?
It's a
They-
relative evaluation.
yeah.
So,
It's like they took a
Absolutely.
chance, and if they succeed, it makes me look bad. So, like sometimes family members can even hold you back. They're like, oh, I don't want them to succeed because then it's like, I look
Yeah.
bad.
Then it's a reflection of them.
See
They're
that with
projecting their own
Yeah.
issues
So it's like you gotta let those folks go.
with
glad
some
you did it.
lavender.
And
Some
you
lavender.
and you asked the question, Dana. You said, can you live a stress-free life, right? And I believe that all things work together for good. And when
Yes.
you really understand in life that everything works together and you have the strength and it's all in you to change the situation. We can't change the weather. We can't change a lot of things, but we have the opportunity to change the very health direction of our life, right? With going to see a chiropractor, coming to see a fitness professional, right? Going to get your energy. We have all the tools. And so for me, I really, people ask me, they're like, you're always so happy. How are you
She
really
is.
doing? And they're like, well, not your Facebook self. I'm like, whatever I put on Facebook, that's me.
That's
right?
her.
What you
That
see,
is
what you get,
her.
right? So I am just a confirmation, I'm telling you, and a true testament that you can live a stress-free life when you
Yes.
understand that all things work together for good.
And that you're in
Absolutely.
control of much more than
Yes.
you think you are.
Mhm.
A lot of times we allow things to happen to us, but when you take control over your life and
Right.
the choices that you make, the things
Mhm.
that you allow
Mhm.
in your life, in your circle, in your space, you are empowered by that control that you have to dictate, right? Get your lavender out.
Mhm. Yeah, how you live your days is how you live your life.
Say that again.
Yeah. How you live your days is how you live your life, and it's a daily commitment to yourself, and what you deserve.
Wow, that's
basically that's so huge, and realizing your self-worth and who are you going to become. Basically, that's the question you must ask yourself, and look at the past, but learn from it, and now let's move on. And
And you could start today.
Yeah.
are you a master or a servant? Yeah,
That part.
That was so good. I'm gonna
Chime that, honey.
I like that.
And
So
Yeah.
as we close, what specialists in your field? You see, these are my friends, y'all, and that's what I mean by like surrounding yourself with people who can add positively to who you are and what you're doing. So many things have happened in my life by being very focused on my purpose and being intentional about what I'm doing, and surrounding myself with people who support that, who push that forward. Great friends, great professionals, great energy, and it propels you. Like, I think when you are cleared, I'm not sure you're going to always be stress free, but I think you can learn how to manage stress well. People who are successful
Right.
and who have
Yeah.
great energy know how to manage stress well. So you can't control what happens to you, but you can control your reaction to it.
Yes, absolutely.
Not agree more, and it's almost like whack-a-mole.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right, like you get that mastery of like the one, like 1, 2, 10, 20 things that often bring you stress, and then sweet, an illness on top, right?
Right.
We haven't mastered that one yet because it's just come on. So now we got to whack another mole,
Right.
Yeah.
right? So I don't know.
Whack-a-mole, everyone.
There
But
you
definitely
go.
you should go and definitely take care of your bodies. I'm
Yes.
telling you, that's so huge. Physical fitness, we lose muscle after we turn 25 years of age, and that contributes to osteoporosis. But guess what affects osteoporosis? Stress.
Absolutely.
Stress affects your bone health, and a lot of people don't
Absolutely.
understand that. So taking a stretching class, a calming class, and meditation. I went to a longevity convention, and they determined that meditating actually helps with dementia and Alzheimer's
believe
too.
it. I've
So
heard this.
taking
Yeah.
time, right, to just meditate on things that are great and awesome. Solid.
It could be like 5 minutes. Like, you don't need a long session for meditation and reflection.
Yes.
And again, you change your mindset, you change your narrative, you change your life.
Mhm.
Anybody
Absolutely.
else?
And go real quick. The tendency of a lot of people when they encounter stress is to blame the external world and not to look within.
Yes.
Right.
When we do that, we're basically taking away the power that we have, and we're making ourselves a victim to the situation. So to anybody that is listening, I would say we got to focus on ourselves first, and then the external environment, because essentially the external environment and the way that we project out there is a result of what's going on inside of us.
Interesting.
Very true.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Closing thoughts. So I would say, instead of through these stressful times, instead of focusing on the symptoms, try to start identifying some root causes of these issues, because there's always a cause to and an effect. It's cause and effect, right? We learned it back in like 5th grade. This cause and effect relationship, and so much of our energy, especially in healthcare, the Western healthcare, is spent focusing on the symptom and not necessarily that root cause. So I would say through these stressful seasons, focus on the root cause, or find a specialist like any one of us sitting at this table that can identify those root causes for you and give you a plan to start to correct those issues so that you can get the results that you're looking for, get those improvements in your health, and have an amazing
Just a hot Kwanzaa.
And I just wanted to add to focus on how precious every day, every breath is. Because sometimes some of the little stuff falls away then. But if you are experiencing stress, do what you can to help yourself. Reach out if you need it. You don't have to suffer. You don't have to stay in it.
Thank you, Karen. How can people reach you? Get their energy checked.
Yeah, that was awesome.
She's fantastic.
I love
Karen
her.
is amazing.
Yeah,
Karen's awesome.
I'm so happy to be here. KarenMarzak.com is my website. I'm also on Instagram and Facebook. You can check out the Biofield Method. It's an energy technique I developed. That's on Facebook. You can be part of the community there.
It's incredibly important. Get your energy right, because I think energy, mindset, all that just leads to so many positive things in your life. And I think when you focus on the positive, there's less of the negative. Sophia, closing thoughts?
So for me, practicing gratitude every single day, I'll tell you guys, I was not born in this country. And it's so humbling when my in-laws live overseas. So we usually go every other year to go visit them. And every time I visit, it is such an eye-opener as to how people are living their lives in other countries. And we truly we are so blessed, you guys. We are so incredibly blessed. You have no idea. And that is one of my biggest missions in my business, is to have enough so I can truly give back on a large scale. And guess what? That kind of a platform, it requires a lot of commitment and mindset, and you really got to hustle it out. But I'm willing to do it because what I've seen, it's just heart-wrenching. Yeah. So practicing gratitude every single day, regardless of how bad it gets. I am the most grateful for my own personal journey. And so that's for one. And the second thing is just, again, priming your body. So from a health standpoint, vitamin B6 and B12 are awesome to help your body be buffered against the negative effects of excess stress. Things like magnesium are awesome. Ashwagandha, valerian root, those are some really amazing herbs. And those are some things that you will find in our products. They're completely plant and mineral based. So absolutely nothing artificial you will find. But just having that buffer for your body is huge. And again, getting that mind right.
That's right. Did y'all write that down? All right. Well, I want to thank my guests for joining us tonight. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Thank you for sharing the episode. I think this has been incredible. Great tips provided as we move into the end of the year, the holiday season. Thank you all so much for joining me. I also want to thank our sponsors, in addition to Karen and Sophia, the Homecoming Challenge, of course, Veronica's House of Glamour, 630-995-2320, Janelle's Bling Things, premierdesigns.com/JanelleG4, Sandy Hernandez, who does my makeup when I'm here in Chicago, 630-750-0198, Jill Whitwer, personal stylist. I've had a lot of fun working with Jill lately, and she's been incredible, 630-400-8827, Ray Design Company for custom home design. You can build a whole fortress in your house for Thanksgiving, and Ray can help you do that.
That's how you set boundaries.
Talk about boundaries. What?
Build a castle.
773-354-0740. The social MVP, who has really done a lot for us with respect to our Homecoming Challenge and our support. I could not have done everything we did with the Homecoming Challenge without the help of my social media guru, Social MVP. Thank you for taking us to another level. And finally, Shoulder Bear Elastics. They keep your older off-the-shoulder fashions off the shoulder. Again, the next episode of Dana Being Dana is currently on television right now, The Adoption Show, and we've got a brand new episode featuring the one and only Adam Beard Game Ratner on television in a couple of weeks. Yes, honey, yes.
Okay, too much time.
So yeah, we've got a lot coming up. We'll be back in the studio once again next week. Tune in. We've got a very powerful show. I won't spoil it right now, but we will be talking about some very important things. Again, these are all topics that resonate with people, particularly as we are approaching the holidays. Thank you all so much for tuning in. I do not promise to be an expert, nor do I have all the answers. I am just Dana being Dana. Have a good night.